Today, we're diving into one of the most unbelievable, most harrowing true survival stories ever recorded. It's a story about impossible odds, suffering that's just hard to even imagine, and the incredible, stubborn power of the will to live.
Okay, just picture this for a second. You are totally alone in the coldest, most remote place on the entire planet. The temperature is way below freezing, your friends are gone, you have absolutely no food, and the skin has literally peeled away from the bottom of your feet. Oh, and home? It's still 100 miles away. This isn't some movie script. This was real life for one man.
So, where does this all start? Well, it starts with a really ambitious dream. And that dream belonged to a pretty fearless 31-year-old geologist named Douglas Mawson. His goal wasn't just about adventure, it was about science. He wanted to do something nobody had ever done before: map a huge, completely unexplored part of the Antarctic coast for Australia. So, on December 2nd, 1911, he and his team set sail. By January, they'd set up a base camp in a spot so ridiculously windy they nicknamed it the home of the blizzard. After toughing out a really brutal winter, on November 10th, 1912, Mawson and two of his best men, Belgrave Ninnis and Xavier Mertz, finally set off on their mapping journey into the great unknown. And their goal, it was just staggering: a 600-mile round trip across a landscape that is basically designed to kill you. They had 3 sleds, 16 powerful husky dogs, and they were full of that confidence you have when you're a pioneer, charting a brand new world. For about a month, they just kept pushing east, fighting off storms and that immense, biting cold. By December 14th, they were 311 miles out from their base camp, and it was right there that in one single, quiet moment, everything changed forever. The scariest part about the Antarctic plateau is how it tricks you. From the surface, it just looks like this solid, endless plain of white, like a perfectly stable floor stretching out as far as you can see. But that floor, it's a total lie. Hidden just under a really thin, fragile layer of snow are these monstrous crevasses, giant chasms of ice that go down hundreds of feet. The whole landscape is just one big minefield of hidden traps, and they were walking right into it. Mertz was up ahead on skis, Mawson was right behind him, and when Mawson turned around to look back, his blood must have run cold, because where his friend Ninnis had been just seconds before, there was nothing, just a huge, gaping hole in the ice. Ninnis, their best sled, the 6 strongest dogs, their only tent, and almost all of their food, just gone, swallowed by the abyss. In the blink of an eye, their situation went from difficult to catastrophically desperate. So now they're facing a 311-mile walk back to base with almost no gear and no food. Mawson and Mertz had to make an impossible choice. To stay alive, they were going to have to do something that would crush their spirits. But also, and they had no way of knowing this, it was going to literally poison them. Their only source of food left was their remaining sled dogs. These were loyal animals, their companions through this whole ordeal, and now they were their only shot at survival. One by one, as the dogs got weaker, they were killed and eaten. But they were unknowingly eating a deadly poison. Back then, science wasn't really common knowledge on this, but husky livers, they contain an insane amount of vitamin A. And if you eat it, you get this horrific condition called hypervitaminosis A. And the effects, they were grotesque. Their hair started falling out, their skin began to dry up and just peel away in huge sheets. They had this crippling stomach pain, and their minds started to go, leading to delirium and just crushing depression. The very thing they thought was keeping them alive was actually killing them from the inside out. Now, the poison, it didn't hit them both equally. While Mawson was suffering horribly, his partner Xavier Mertz, he started to completely break down, both physically and mentally. All of a sudden, Mawson wasn't just trying to survive, he was trying to take care of his dying friend. On the night of January 7th, after days of being delirious and having seizures, Mertz passed away. Mawson was now completely, utterly alone in the middle of this vast, white nothingness. He buried his friend in the snow, made a little cross for him out of sled parts, and got ready to face the rest of the journey by himself. He was still 100 miles away from safety. Think about that. It's an impossible distance for a man whose body is literally disintegrating. He actually sawed his last sled in half to make it light enough for him to pull, and he started that final, desperate trek. And the vitamin A poisoning, it reached a whole new level of horror. the entire layer of skin on the bottom of his feet just detached. To keep walking, he had to physically strap his own skin back onto his raw feet. Every single step became an act of pure, agonizing endurance.
At this point, he's basically a walking skeleton, just racked with pain, barely hanging on to his sanity. But Antarctica, it seems, had one final, terrifying test waiting for him. On January 17th, he was going to come face to face with death itself.
With no warning at all, the snow under his feet just vanished. He plunged straight down into a crevasse. His fall stopped only by the rope tied to his sled, which had thankfully jammed itself across the opening. He's just dangling there, over a black void, his body screaming in pain. And for a moment, he actually considered just cutting the rope, ending it all right there. But then he thought about his friends who died. He had to be the one to tell their story. So inch by agonizing inch, he started hauling himself up that rope. He gets to the very top, and the icy edge just crumbles, and he falls all over again. But with one last, absolutely impossible burst of strength, he tries one more time and finally drags his broken body back onto solid ground. He had cheated death in the most incredible way possible, but his journey still wasn't over. The final stretch was about to deliver a series of gut-wrenching twists that would test the absolute limits of his hope. Then, on January 29th, a miracle. He stumbles across a pile of snow marked with a black flag. It was a food depot, left behind by a search party. And inside was food and a note that said the base camp was only 28 miles away. For the first time in weeks, survival felt like it was actually possible. He made it to a staging cave just 5 miles from home, and then fate played its cruelest trick yet. A furious blizzard just descended out of nowhere, trapping him in that cave for an entire week. He could practically smell the safety of the base, but he was totally powerless to get to it, all while knowing his ship was waiting to leave. On February 8th, the storm finally broke. He staggers out of the cave, he looks towards the bay, and there, on the horizon, he sees a little speck. It was his ship, the Aurora, sailing away. After everything he had been through, he had missed his rescue by just a few hours. Just as he collapses in total despair, he sees some figures down at the base. A small party of 6 men had volunteered to stay behind, just hoping against hope that he might still be alive. They found him, a skeletal figure more ghost than man. And even though his ship tried to come back for him, another blizzard made it impossible. In one last unbelievable twist of fate, Douglas Mawson had to stay and endure one more full winter in Antarctica before he could finally return home a hero on February 26, 1914. You know, Mawson's story is so much more than just survival. It's a testament to a level of endurance that just seems almost superhuman. And it really forces us to ask a pretty fundamental question about ourselves. When absolutely everything is lost, when your body has completely given up, what is the true limit of the human spirit?